June 15th, 1864. Arlington National Cemetery is established, giving American children a place to watch their grandfather cry. Welcome to the Revisionists. It's Brian Flynn is me.
It's Zach Powers on this Hollywood Squares.
And in our other Hollywood triangle, Katie Hannon.
It's Katie Hannon is me.
None of us live in Hollywood. Hollywood Squares' budget has been cut to roughly $3 an hour for each of the participants.
That's how they can afford to keep Coolio.
Yeah, we do get tips.
Hollywood Squares.
We are in that tip loophole, but unfortunately, no one is here.
We do have Bruce Valanche.
We do have this
he
tip
will
jar.
Not leave.
The tip jar is labeled Patreon.
It is very empty.
Guys,
please.
Full disclosure this week, I done fucked up. We started to record the first 3 minutes of an episode before I realized I was not recording. And
which has happened before. I feel like it's happened like at way later points.
Well, there's been times.
Yeah, at least you realized early on.
Once I realized late, and then another time my computer ate the recording.
Oh yeah.
But
those weird techno memories.
Just for posterity's sake, because I think this might be the last corner of the internet where it's remembered. We were talking about when Metallica tried to shut down Napster.
Good. I'm glad we brought it up again.
It's something I haven't thought about in literally 12 years.
I was...
And our audience, many of our audience, hey, this is a history podcast. And any of our audience who is younger than 26, 27, 25 does not remember this.
Do you get a lot of Gen Z listeners on the Revisionists?
Probably not, actually. It's probably mostly our parents. That's the end of the list.
But the baby boomers might not remember because they didn't give a shit
that's
about
true.
it. They were like, cool, shut it down.
They were just like, went to their children and was like, why does my computer have every virus known to man?
You guys will never guess who only remembers. Only 90s kids remember.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. I was honestly listening to an NPR interview about Napster yesterday just because of like the whole news about like Apple shutting down iTunes.
Young kids?
Apple is shutting down iTunes?
Well, sort of. They're like changing the software. They're changing the label. So they'll have like a music program, a podcast program, where you can listen to the Revisionists, among other programs.
This is great because we can actually have a tie-in for what Napster is for both old people and young people simultaneously. Young people...
simultaneously, of course.
Simultaneous.
Famous author.
I had a long day. I was on a rooftop serving drinks for 12 hours yesterday and then spent the rest of my day at work today, so I am a little worn out. But young people...
Wait, was that not a work thing you were serving drinks for? Was that like...
No, it was for fun.
It's part of your year of yes.
Yeah, exactly. But young people, if you've seen The Social Network, Justin Timberlake is the Napster guy. Old people, if you've seen the Aaron Sorkin movie, The Social Network, know you love the Newsroom. Newsroom, that's that baby boomer jam.
Yup.
Yeah.
They love it.
Social Network.
Newsroom, and I think any of the hidden camera shows on True TV. If my
Impractical Jokers.
Yeah, if my dad is
really?
anything to
is that
the
for
Carbonaro
olds?
effect.
Impractical Jokers? Is that for olds? I thought that was for like 13-year-olds.
I mean, there's a weird cross-section between like the olds and the youngs.
The new baby boom, they call them.
Ugh, God.
Yeah, we thought we got out, but they pulled us back in.
It's like, it's the worst sequel I could possibly imagine.
You really didn't need more of it.
Except this time they'll like try to change the climate, maybe to make it cooler.
Yeah,
I guess. To make more water.
This is at least a gritty reboot because, sorry Gen Z, you are not going to have the same level of opportunity. I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but
I thought you were going to say they're not going to have the same level of oxygen, which is also probably true.
Well, oxygen
or water, they're
going to
have higher. Yeah,
you don't have to pick just one.
Much like the Chinese word for chaos is the same as the one for opportunity.
Yeah, I believe
the character for breathable air is the same for opportunity.
I believe in China, chaos is pronounced baby boomer. I think that's how they pronounce it.
Man, we're really sticking it to the baby boomers this early this episode. We usually save that for later.
Yeah, well, they are what they are.
Yeah, you can't change them. You could just ignore them at dinner.
They'll always be able to take credit for the Beatles and the Byrds and and Bob Dylan, even though those people are actually not baby boomers and that their generation
I thought you meant literal birds.
Yeah.
Like they invented birds.
No, birds with a Y.
They'll try to take credit.
Sure, they will.
Real birds, yeah.
There is a weird conspiracy. We'll get to the actual episode at some point. There's like a weird, I don't know if it's a fake conspiracy that birds are fake. Like all birds are like drones.
I think I heard about this, that birds are not a real thing.
Yeah, like I've seen flyers for it.
You've seen like physical flyers?
And I don't know if they're jokes at all, because it's
so hard to tell these days.
I'd rather have that than anti-vaxxers still. I'd rather have...
You know, there's two categories of conspiracy theorists, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the cute ones, who it's like, you guys, you could just believe your
bird
shit.
truthers.
And flat earthers.
Flat earthers.
Fully in that category. People who think birds are fake, it's fine. Go on thinking birds are fake. And then there's like the ones that are scary, and it's like anti-vaxxers and like QAnon and anything like basically all anti-Semitism. Yeah, you're in category B, and you guys need to get your act together.
Cut it out.
Go ahead and go over to Flat Earth. Go ahead and go over to anti-bird.
I don't know if they're anti-bird. Well, I guess like it's implied if they think they're government surveillance drones.
Should we become a podcast that spreads like harmless conspiracies and tries to pull people away from the far right? And just like...
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, and just let them believe like wacky shit, but it's like Pee-wee's Big Adventure wacky shit.
I mean, your alternate histories are kind of conspiracy theories.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like very pro-Jewish conspiracy theories, and I'm like, well, is this anti-Semitic in itself?
Well, you don't have to... I think the key is, let's just not involve Jewish people.
Well, I feel like, they get the brunt of so much. Anyway.
I mean, I haven't seen the Flat Earth conspiracy or the birds conspiracy that's like, Jewish people created birds.
And good on them for it. And we thank
beautiful.
them, yes.
B.A.B.
Yeah.
Hey, they're going to believe the government's lying about something. It might as well be like, hey, wood is actually a metal.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, what we actually do with this podcast, if you have not thrown your iPhone in the river at this point, is we take a topic from history. Mm-hmm. One person presents the official bird-sanctioned version of events, and another person...
Don't say bird. We haven't cleared it with the birds, and they do run everything. That's still crank science, Brian. The birds have no control. The birds have no control. That is crank science.
Listeners, you can't see this, but Zach is tossing out handfuls of seeds. And he's, of course, putting peanut butter on a pine cone, as is a totally normal thing to do.
Truly, in my apartment, we got a bird feeder to hang out of the side window this week.
Sycophants.
And our income has increased by 500%.
So, yeah. Somebody's in the pocket of Big Bird, you know?
Yeah, literally. Children's Television Workshop.
Call me Snuffleupagus because I got a new friend. And it's Big Bird.
Oh, Jesus. And also, another person comes up with a crazy batshit alternate history. Not
Right,
bird approved. Secret from the birds.
Yeah,
Take
bats
the red
are
pill,
the
get
enemies
away.
of the birds, right? They come out at night and have the same basic skills in like a D&D sense.
Yeah, of course. They're dark mirrors of each other in that way. And the winner gets to become the truth. Also, we talk about a bunch of other non-topic shit. If you listen to our last episode, Powhatan Beatty, the listener vote came in, and the alternate by Danny Ramos won out, which involved a lot of improv, a lot of slander of a war hero, but like in a fun way.
Way to go, Danny.
So, Danny, thank you from beyond the grave. He's not dead. I'm not dead. None of us are dead. I am so fucking tired,
Yeah.
listeners. This episode, we're going to be discussing Cathay Williams. Katie, you are doing the actual history.
That's true.
Fact.
Yeah.
Zach, you are doing the alternate.
Yeah, I am indeed.
Hey there, this is Brian reminding you that The Revisionist is supported by listeners just like you. You can make a pledge and get rewards like shirts and even the right to vote over at patreon.com/therevisionists.
Take us away, Katie.
Oh, okay. We start with the real. Okay.
Sorry.
Yes. Today we are discussing
It would
Civil
be, by the
War.
way, wild if we did the alternate history and then did the real one to be like...
it would be confusing. I'd like it.
So in the alternate history, Anne Frank had taco parties every week. And now let's go to the real history.
Okay, listeners, we're never doing an Anne Frank episode.
Okay. That's probably good.
Maybe,
Well,
unless we get like...
1,000
Real edgy.
iTunes reviews. We'll do an Anne Frank.
Yeah.
All right, listeners, get it.
We're going to put a price.
$1,000 on our Patreon.
We're going to put a price on how dear we hold the story of Anne Frank at one point. Hey, enough Patreon subscribers, and hey, Anne Frank, that money comes in.
Yikes.
Truly.
Anne Frank
Anyway.
on the table. For $1 million, I will do an Anne Frank episode. And it will be sad, and I will be quiet the whole time, but we'll put the episode out.
I feel like we've done those sorts of episodes.
Yeah, because
Jesus.
this whole
Yeah.
segment is about people who were former slaves fighting in the fucking Civil War.
There's a show here in Denver based on a popular Comedy Central show where you get drunk and you talk about a historical event.
You might have heard of it. It's called Workaholics.
I'm trying to avoid copyright infringement for Josue, but we did a New Orleans episode.
He's not. So
He's
sorry.
Who knows? We did a New Orleans episode, and I was drunk, and I was like trying to decide if I should do Hurricane Katrina.
Ooh, that's a recent one. The sting is fresh on that one.
Yeah. So instead, I went with Madame Lalaurie, who was depicted on American Horror Story, who just was a horrific
Like
slave
torturer
owner.
of people.
Yeah, they didn't like it, you guys. They did not like it.
Did anybody take... we've done an episode on this particular topic, but did anybody take the Axeman of New Orleans?
Somebody did, yes.
Oh, that's a great one.
So all the like good ones were taken
that's-
by the time I got around to it.
That's-
and it was mostly just horrific historical events.
The Axeman is like a story where people do die and there was legitimate human suffering, but it wasn't necessarily aimed at one race or culture. And it
Yeah,
was
that's
whimsical because the
better.
guy loved jazz. It's the perfect
Yeah.
story of murder and violence to make fun
Yeah.
of.
I mean, it's basically Woody Allen at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Loves jazz. Criminal.
There's that nice
I guess.
little window of serial killers where it's like, this isn't too dark. I can make fun of it. And it was long enough ago that it's fine.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance. Yes, but today we're not directly talking about murder outside of, war, many wars. Okay, so we're talking about Cathay. How would you say it, Zach?
Yeah,
You know how to-
Cathay. I wasn't
Cathay?
sure. Cathay.
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 Yeah.
Let's
I
We'll
feel
go
like
with
when
Ca-
it was her first name, it was Kathy, but when it was her last name, it was Cathay.
It was Cathay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we'll say Kathy.
Act.
Kathy. Do you think they'd act? I got it.
Sorry. I am
Kathy.
on one tonight.
Yes. Kathy Ack. So Kathy Williams was born in 1844 in Independence, Missouri. How ironic, am I right?
Oh, Jesus.
I didn't even write that joke. I just thought of it.
I'm picturing you at like an improv show, just being like, I just thought of that.
I have to let everyone know that I didn't pre-write
and then
anything
someone
there.
like runs across the stage.
Start that one by being like, "How about a little crowd work, huh?"
Yeah. Okay, so she was born to a free father, but her mom was a slave, so she was also a slave. Because I guess it's passed down through your mom, like Judaism. I'm not sure how you. I guess it doesn't matter if your father's. Yeah,
I think if either one of them.
One.
Yeah.
Okay. Not sure on
it
the
might be a
laws.
thing where literally any excuse they'll take.
Right, if it's whatever, yeah.
I just had the worst visual of like somebody in 1860 doing crowd work, and they're like, "What do you do for a living? Slave? Where were you born? Independence, Missouri." Well, how about that for ironic? Like,
that does remind me of that old sketch we wrote. That is the actors on stage during Our American Cousin after Lincoln gets shot, trying to improv their way out of it.
I remember this sketch well.
Funny.
It was my
That's
idea.
funny.
It was
Really?
It was It was. I think that was part of it, but the part I remember is this might have been a joke I just had for my stand-up, which is the Ford Theater like staff being like, "We have another show at 8:00, and we really need to clear this booth."
No, that was it. That was like the closer, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. That was anyway. Good times.
So picture that in your head.
We'll record a table read of that for a bonus episode.
Yeah, we have Bryan Cranston lined up.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Ooh, what part is
Famous comic.
Yeah,
well, I
what
guess
part
he was
is
in
he
Malcolm.
playing?
Yeah, he's playing an audio clip I took from Breaking Bad.
Okay, I see.
I just remember one of the lines. It was like, I need an occupation, and someone was like, the president of the United States.
Oh, right, yeah, that was.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So she was a house slave at Johnson Plantation in Jefferson City, Missouri. I've never been to Missouri. Have you been to Missouri?
I have been through the St. Louis airport.
Oh, that's okay. Zach, have you ever been to Missouri?
I went to St. Louis once when I was 16 for a... All right, this is weird.
Okay.
I just stumbled
I love
into
it already.
Yeah.
Hit me.
Okay, so when I was a teenager, I was on a Friday the 13th
Oh, that's right.
forum. I was a moderator, in fact. It was a horror
wow.
movie forum. And there was a camp for people who were involved with the forum. And it took place in St. Louis.
Wow.
My screen name, just for historical
please,
reference.
Oh, for someone who started out so sheepish, you're now going into a great many details.
My screen name on the forum, which I created when I was, I believe, 12 or 13, I think in the year 2001, was Spawn of Evil.
Yeah.
And I went to a horror movie forum there, and it was the first time I got drunk at this camp full of internet strangers.
Oh my god, this is incredible.
The fact that it's actually a camp makes it so much worse.
Were there like adults there looking
there
after
were.
you?
And,
Well.
the adults who ran it were named Blake and Brenna,
Bunch of
and this is a
weirdos.
true
Yeah.
story. Blake and Brenna now live 10 minutes away from me in Chicago. They have...
Have you seen them?
Oh, yeah. They have two beautiful kids. I hang out with them on the regular. We play games together. They were not sex weirdos. They were, in fact,
You lucked out.
They were, in fact, very left-leaning people who helped inform my political views. And also at that camp, I met the guy who wrote the movie Jason X, who I still know on the internet to this day. So that is my story about St. Louis.
Great. Missouri, formative place for Zach Powers and Kathy Williams.
As someone who went to lacrosse camp twice, I can't judge.
Yeah, no,
I
mine
didn't
still
do
is like
that.
bad. Like, why did my parents let me do it?
Yeah, that's the interesting
I think they
part.
did talk to Blake and Brenna on the phone, and they're very nice, lovely, responsible people.
It sounds like, did you ever see, I believe it's called Camp Nowhere, where they get Doc Brown from Back to the Future to pretend to like be, he runs all these different camps but they just go, like one girl tells her parents she's going to fat camp, one guy says he's going to military camp, but they just rent out this camp and like party for a week.
It's the same
Great, I
plot
loved it.
as that other movie that Lewis Black is in, where they create a fake college called like
Oh yes,
Accepted?
Unaccepted. It's unaccepted.
Unaccepted.
Undeclared is
With
like
Justin
the
Long,
spiritual follow-up to
Justin
Freaks
Long,
and
Jonah
Geeks.
Hill, Lewis Black. Yeah.
Undeclared. Yeah, undeclared is like
Here's the
college.
director of
Undeclared was the
photography.
Freaks and Geeks. Okay. Anyway, both all great. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Gen
Lots of
Z
recommendations
listeners.
on this episode about Cathay Williams.
Yes. Okay. So she is a slave. And in 1861, Union forces occupied Jefferson City, where she lives. And at that point, any slave in this occupied territory becomes contraband.
Mhm.
So basically, is owned by the Union armies now, but not like a person. Not like a person.
They have to do a lot of menial work.
So she's forced to serve, just as, I mean, not in a direct combat. Well, she's a woman and she's a slave. So she's doing like cooking and cleaning, but not of her own volition really at all. So yes, she is serving with the 8th Indiana Voluntary Infantry Regiment. So she's kind of goes all over with them, Arkansas, Louisiana, Georgia. She's present at some battles. I don't know what she was, just hanging out, watching, looking after people. They said some battles she was at. I was like, I've never heard of them. So I don't know. They might have been big ones. Hard to say.
Yeah, they're like safety battles.
There
if
was
you
like
can't get into one of the
Battle
big ones.
of P-Peg, or I don't remember what it's called. I don't know what it's called. Like PEA. I don't know. I don't know a lot about.
That's really it. You didn't just make that up off the top of your head.
No, there was one with P in it for like the vegetable.
Welcome to our battle. Notice there's no P in it.
Yeah. When John McCrae premiered his poem on Flanders Field, the first reaction at the live reading was like, Flanders Field, never heard of it.
Yeah, I really had to do some extra research on this for like the timeline because I don't know a lot. I'm not very smart. So she's in Little Rock. That's where she gets transferred to, where at one point she kind of is transferred all around. They think Little Rock is maybe where she first sees Black soldiers and realizes that there are other Black people serving in the military. So the war ends in 1865. Looked that up. Wouldn't have been able to give you that off the top of my head. She's just working at a barracks. So after the war, she enlists in the U.S. Army as William Cathay on November 15th, 1866.
A classic Mulan.
Yes, classic Mulan. As a man, or obviously, she doesn't say, hey, I'm a lady, my name's William. She's like, I'm a dude. I love Mulan. Mulan's such a good movie.
But it's like if Mulan...
I thought you were saying she says, I love Mulan.
She's like,
Mulan is
hey, everybody, I'm here to do a classic Mulan. Thank you so much.
But her Mulan
Don't worry about
tactic
it.
This is my SNL audition.
Her Mulan tactic is literally like, I'm not Mulan, I'm Lan Mu.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So she signs up for 3 years to the 38th. I don't know why this matters. Do some people know like the number? They're like famous troops.
Oh yeah, some people know like
A ton of shit.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a.
Some people know about like bugs and shit. It's crazy.
That's so true. People know about a ton of shit. Computers, makeup, who knows, all kinds of stuff.
Like entomologists. Like
Yeah, like, what? That's wild. What a crazy choice.
yeah, seriously, get me away from them bugs. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
So she
That
joins...
middle bone in your toe, somebody knows what that's called.
That's, yeah.
that person, Quentin Tarantino.
He's the only one. He'll die with
He
it.
knows a lot about toe bones.
I bet he does.
Sorry.
No. So that's an all-black regiment. Do you say regiment or regiment? Is it
Regiment.
Is it like a
yeah.
corps?
I think that's.
What you say?
I think it doesn't necessarily matter. I think just like dropping the T is like a regionalism,
Okay.
more or less.
Okay. So yeah, 2 people knew that she was not a man, her cousin and her friend, and they were also soldiers. So I think they wanted to keep her around. I was thinking about this, like, why would she do this? But it's just like slaves were free, but everything really sucked still for everyone, but mostly black people.
Which you could say about like every
Today?
moment in history up to and including today.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And I mean, there's like some semblance of like, even though there's like the risk of actually being in a battle, there's some semblance of security that comes from like, I know I'm going to have a place to stay.
Right.
And,
it makes
like,
a lot of
food
sense.
And like some pay.
It's like, you're going to be around other black people. Don't have to deal with that many like awful white people. Mm-hmm. You're getting food, a place to live, clothes, some security, money. So yeah,
And a
so at this
pension,
point though,
theoretically, though I guess we'll get around to that part.
Yeah.
I don't know that much. I guess we'll see. So yeah, I forget what I was going to say. Yeah. So the Civil War is over though. So at this point she's just fighting in the Indian Wars, which I Googled that because I was like, what's the time frame of that? And Google said Indian Wars 1624 to 1922.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I could also say till today for that one, maybe.
Yeah, it's really
depending.
been a Cold War since then, more or less. But
yeah, so she's fighting in those. So she gets sent to New Mexico, where again they're fighting Indian tribes, and like pretty shortly after enlisting, she gets smallpox. So that's bad luck. And they're not sure if it was just like the New Mexico air and the smallpox, but she's getting hospitalized like a lot, which is not what you want when you're a woman pretending to be a man.
yeah.
It's bad news. That's how Mulan came down too. She got injured.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It has been years since I've seen Mulan. Is that one they're doing a live action version of?
I don't know.
I'm sure. I think they are actually. I think they've started to cast it.
Okay.
That one actually would be good, I think.
Yeah,
Lion
not like
King
the
is
Lion
stupid.
King.
It's still animated. It's still just like CGI.
And the problem is
not-
actual lions don't have human expressions. So
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, even
I
if
don't
you have
need
someone
that
like
one.
Donald Glover, like as charismatic as that,
It's
still like
why don't they?
it's still
I kind of want them to do like live action, like these CGI hyper realistic reimaginings of like the Looney Tunes, where Bugs Bunny is not even just like Peter Rabbit in that Peter Rabbit remake, but like literally bunny face.
Yeah. That would be gross.
That
and
would be,
scary,
like-
but good.
like Donnie Darko
yeah.
level.
Yeah.
It would be cute when he wears like the women's clothes and it's just a bunny and like a straight wig. But it would also be weird when Elmer Fudd, played by a human, is sexually attracted to it.
Yeah. He looks sexy in drag.
Because
He has-
you lose
he
some of
has
the plausible
boobs
deniability
in drag,
of like,
yeah.
oh, that's a human-sized rabbit in a dress. I didn't know.
Hot. Ooh la la. Okay, so
Elmer Fudd did know though, right? Like he knew.
he's a furry.
Yeah, he's a funny. Yeah,
He's a funny.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so she's in and out of the hospital. She's in the armed forces for about 2 years, maybe a little less than 2 full years. Mm-hmm.
Can I spin a crazy theory?
sure. Like we've not tried that before, but sure, go for it.
Let's look at momentarily Elmer Fudd.
Okay.
Jesus
And
Christ.
what's the
Getting out a
Texan?
whiteboard.
What's the Texan with the guns?
Yosemite Sam.
Yosemite Sam.
Oh.
Right. So they're stereotypical, very guns rights kind of right-wing figures.
Mm-hmm.
All about hunting season. All about toxic masculinity. Right.
Yeah.
And at
Sure.
the first pretense of letting their weird sexual deviances be justified, i.e. Bugs Bunny wearing female clothing.
A dress. Mm-hmm.
They're like, yes, because they have deep sexual hang-ups about their toxic masculinity where anything that is not a woman and a blonde woman is unacceptable sexually, right? So
I that's probably spot on.
yeah, I think that this is the ultimate takedown of toxic masculinity. Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam.
We did it.
Yeah.
Air horn, blah, blah, blah,
Turns
blah.
out it was done in 1936. We figured it out. We didn't need Tyler Durden to confuse people by being too smart.
Anyway,
sorry for
catch that on
I'm on a tangent mood. I've had a long weekend.
It's okay.
No,
it's okay.
I have also.
It's not even the weekend. I just
dig it.
It's Friday. Yep. Okay, so in and out of the hospital, a surgeon, the post surgeon, figures out she's a woman, tells the commander, and she is discharged from the army.
Snitch.
That didn't seem like a big hullabaloo. I thought I'd find a lot more on the internet about like she's dishonorably discharged or like, but it seemed like he was just like, okay, sorry.
Thank you for your 2 years of service.
Thank you for your 2 plus all the service you did.
I was going to make a terrible
War.
pun.
Okay.
The chief pulled her into the office and said, put your gun in your vag on the table.
Okay.
But that was the Mulan resignation.
On the table? Like she carries it around like
yeah, that's what women do.
Dishonorably discharged for being a woman. Logically, it makes sense.
Women, a lot of women do get some dishonorable discharge.
Boom! Oh no! Oh god! If I didn't already reflexively tag each episode as explicit, this one is getting the explicit marker.
I'm sorry, Kathy Williams.
That was a true alley-oop.
Okay, so yeah, the only thing I found a few direct quotes from her, and one of them said that when the other men found out she was a woman, some of them acted real bad to me. So that sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, she does not go into any more specifics as to what that would mean.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we can all imagine. But okay, so after the military, she becomes a cook in New Mexico. Eventually, she moves to Pueblo and gets married. Unfortunately, her husband stole all of her money.
Pueblo,
plus,
for our non-Colorado listeners, is in southern Colorado.
Yeah,
and
Pueblo's
it's a
shithole. It is.
It's a little shit town in southern Colorado.
Pueblo's cute, but yeah, it's not a big. It's not.
I have friends from Pueblo, but also it's a shit town.
Yeah. So she gets married.
It's where Cousin Eddie lives in Vacation.
Is it?
That's where those scenes were filmed, in Pueblo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, Pueblo. So picture that.
My favorite Pueblo anecdote is serial killer Edmund Kemper, who lived in California, killed a bunch of people. Mm. Then after he was found, after he killed his mom and knew he would be found out, he fled across the country, got to Pueblo, stopped in a phone booth, and called the police to come get him. And I like to believe it's because Pueblo was sucked so much.
Yeah,
but he was prison's gotta be better.
Yeah.
There's so many ventriloquist comedians here in Pueblo. Sorry, that is a deep cut to comedy posters I see all the time.
Okay, so she gets married in Pueblo. I assume to a man from Pueblo, which really explains a lot.
It's not really a destination wedding.
No, her husband steals all her money plus a team of horses, so that sucks. That was in every article, so I guess I'm sure that was a very hard time for her, so let's honor that. She gets him arrested. Then she moves to Trinidad, Colorado, another tiny shithole town in Colorado.
Yeah.
It's now home to all the dispensaries because it's on the line to almost to New Mexico.
It's like when for our Colorado listeners, since I excluded them earlier, when you were a kid and you went to the border of Wyoming to get fireworks, it's like the opposite of that, because now we got the weed. You got the fireworks, Wyoming, but we got the weed.
Yeah. So,
let's get together and have a party, but also you're not invited because I don't like you, Wyoming. You're a hick state.
Yes, so she moves to Trinidad, Colorado. And it's apparently there she was maybe a seamstress. Her mom maybe lived there, owned an orphanage. Hard to say. in 1876, a reporter hears about her story from St. Louis. You know, maybe he was somehow involved in this camp later on. Maybe his spirit was the precursor to the horror camp.
Sorry, you got like so excited a little bit when St. Louis came back up, and it was
St.
delightful.
Louis. So a reporter from St. Louis heard about her story and wrote about it and published it in some newspaper there. I don't know. January 2nd, 1876. So at this point, she's kind of like struggling. She's had a really hard life. She's been sick. She fought for the Union and for the U.S. Army. She's trying to get disability at this point in like after 1876. Hard to say when. She's had all her toes amputated because of diabetes. She has like constant nerve pain. She's deaf. She has rheumatism and arthritis. So she applies for disability. You know, a war hero basically in some ways. Gets denied. She gets denied disability because they say she doesn't qualify. So, I mean, you can probably imagine why she doesn't qualify if you wanted to. Yeah. But yeah, so
the thing I read is that there were a couple other women around this time period who lied to get into the army. And they were usually given disability, but there was also something different about them.
Yes, they were white, and she is black.
Yeah, I was trying to be like obvious but vague about it, but yeah, that was the one.
Why?
You know, we can
why?
say. So she's pretty sick and dies. It's not clear the date. In the 1880s, probably late 1880s, but I think people thought she could have lived for much longer if she was given disability. So that's the story of the first and only, I mean, not including, like the first black woman to serve in the U.S. Army.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm JD Lopez, the host of Left Hand Right Brain. It's a free-flowing, wide-ranging conversation that I have with artists doing interesting and creative things here in Denver and beyond. We talk about their personal stories, break down their creative process, and what motivates them. Spoiler alert, it's mostly spite. We talk about all these things and more while kicking back, cracking wise, and always having a good time. You can find old episodes and everything you need to know at lefthandrightbrainpod.com.
Zach, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so some of that story's right. Cathay Williams was born a slave and, eventually gained her freedom. And, for a while she was working for the Army in that contraband sense for the Union Army. And it was a mind-numbingly dull job. She didn't feel fulfilled. She had her rights, pushed and extinguished from her. And, around that time, when she was traveling around, she met William Cathay. William Cathay.
What a coincidence.
Was,
it's like, peanut butter cup invention all over again.
Yeah. A strange and mysterious figure who was immediately intriguing to her because, represented all the freedom that she did not have and wanted, and was immediately sort of intoxicating to her. And upon getting to know William Cathay better, became sort of enamored of the Cathay mindset. And as a result, with him, joined the army and began fighting and becoming more and more of an important soldier in the post-war period. And in fact, it wasn't just the post-war period. That's where you get it wrong. It was during the Civil War that they joined.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was fighting in the Civil War against the South. William Cathay being the sort of guiding light, the muse of her sense of freedom. And eventually, she fought her way towards Georgia. And William Cathay also enamored another person into their freedom club.
Okay.
A person named William Tecumseh Sherman, who was not so familiar with they taught him a lot about how freedom could be, and he was an important figure in the Union Army. And William Cathay came up with this idea called Project March to the Sea. And even though William Cathay was calling the shots, William Tecumseh Sherman was kind of the figurehead through which they decided to basically burn down Georgia, burn old Dixie down all the way to the seaboard in an effort to, end the war more efficiently. And sure, he gets the credit, but it was William Cathay who, it may surprise you if you're a stupid listener, who hasn't figured out what I'm going for yet.
Yikes.
That William Cathay did not exist. It was merely a reflection of the desires deep within Cathay Williams.
Oh, I didn't figure that out.
I was like, what?
Who started a freedom club and eventually created a horrible project, a Project March to the Sea, Project Marhem. I'm trying to incorporate mayhem and March to the Sea fluidly,
Marhem.
but I didn't have enough time to
Marhem.
workshop it. Listen, guys, it's been 20 years. It's a Fight Club thing, okay?
Oh. You even gave us foreshadowing, and we didn't get
Jesus.
it.
I have also not seen Fight Club.
No.
You're not missing much.
It's, it's a pretty good movie that is commonly misinterpreted.
Yeah.
But after the war, after the successful implementation of the March to the Sea, she was joined by a number of other people who were figures in her head, and eventually, as she became sicker and older, there was a confrontation at a quiet motel. This is going to be a deep cut.
Okay.
12 figures that lived inside of Cathay Williams' head.
Oh, God fucking damn it. Is this Identity with John Cusack?
One of whom was a homicidal little girl, but you wouldn't have thought the little girl was the homicidal maniac, would you?
God damn it.
But it didn't matter because she didn't get her pension and she didn't get her disability as she should have, and she died before the homicidal little girl could have taken over. And that's the true story of Cathay Williams.
Spoiler alert for Identity.
And
also,
for Fight Club,
Yeah.
I guess. If you
and for
That movie
Fight
came
Club.
out, 20 years ago.
Identity.
For anyone
If you
rushing
haven't
out
seen
to
it.
the fucking 20-year anniversary of Identity at the Alamo.
If you're
I would go to that.
If you're an art house movie purist, I think that the movie that they're spoofing, that the dumb Nick Cage writes in adaptation, I think that's supposed to be Identity, or it has a very similar plot to Identity. I think that movie came out before Identity, but yeah, he's writing a movie that has basically the same plot. That's supposed to be the dumbest idea ever. And then Identity came out, I think, a couple years later.
Wasn't, part of the thing about that, the little girl is imagining all of these
No.
characters?
The person imagining it is like some guy in a mental hospital who's 40.
He's the one imagining Identity.
No. So Identity,
And that's an adaptation.
brief
I've
synopsis
seen
of
Identity,
Identity.
I just don't
okay?
remember.
The person who imagined Identity is the screenwriter of Identity.
Identity starts out as a 12 little Indians. There's a bunch of people at
Right,
a
yes,
motel,
okay, yeah.
and they don't know each other. They don't know why they're there. Then halfway through the movie, you start getting flashes to this guy in a mental hospital. Somebody in the hotel is a killer. Eventually, you realize the motel exists in this guy's mind.
I see.
He has 12 distinct personalities in his mind, and psychologists at this mental hospital constructed a way for them to all meet in a motel in his mind and try to have one dominant personality come
that's
out.
what therapists do.
Yeah,
And it turns out the murderous personality is the tiny little girl personality.
Oh.
I
gotta rewatch that.
Yeah, so I'll bet it's actually a pretty good bad movie watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that-
Agreed.
Get high and
Probably.
watch
I think I saw that in
Identity.
the theaters.
So if I could say one thing for this whole episode, get high and watch Identity, folks.
Zach, thank
That's
you.
what I'm doing tonight.
Do a double feature: Identity and Mulan.
Yeah. That'd be
Mulan
a weird...
first, Identity second.
Yes. Yeah.
Be
yeah,
more
yeah.
faded for Identity.
Agreed.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Do some hella edibles for that. know what I'm talking
Hella.
about.
Edibles
Hecka.
are food that has weed in them, Brian.
Okay, thank you. So it's just like someone puts a joint in a salad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just start with that.
Just sprinkle it
Next
on
week,
top.
we'll go over it a little more in depth.
Okay, thank you. Of course, Zach is also Dr. Pot.
No, I mean, like, I've done it before, so I'm roughly 8 grades ahead of you in terms of...
And I had never have done pot. So, oh, God damn it. Listeners, you can always interact with us, ask us a question, leave us a comment, send us your spam. I don't know. At revisionistpodcast.com.
Do you want like actual like cans of spam?
Yeah, that
I would accept
be-
spam if...
I would too.
Write a review on iTunes, and then just the body of the review. Hey, plug your whatever, your Russian,
Do you enlarge penises?
real estate
I don't know.
service, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever scam you have, just put it in the reviews for iTunes. Just put 5 stars, and somebody will maybe click on it.
Those reviews do help us and other podcasts get more clicks, get more listeners, get more butts in the seats.
I should have worn my revisionist shirt. I forgot.
I know. I wore mine just yesterday. I
love
think.
that shirt.
It's a great shirt.
I can't remember.
For warmth.
I wasted so much time on this. I had a bottle and a half of Jack, and it was like I could have done so much with this time. Just threw it in the street on fire.
That
was last night.
That was last night.
Chicago.
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
And actually, when I say last night, holy shit, I actually mean about 4 hours ago.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for Revisionist Podcast. Hit us up on the social meds.
I watched Brian struggle.
He says it
God
every
Hating
week.
himself, so hit us up on the social.
Every week he hates himself for doing it. And every
Yeah,
week
and
he
yet
does
I
it.
keep doing it. It's called self-sabotage, Zach.
It's called being an adult.
Yeah.
He
Of
literally
course- yeah,
cries when he says it
adulting.
every week.
Yeah. Oh, God damn it.
And he spanks himself just a little bit.
Well, that's for a different thing. Listeners, The Revisionist is a proud member of the Denver Podcast Network, which includes no spanking podcasts.
Yet.
Yeah.
I've got a project.
But Zach's camera is angled so I can only see like half of his face. So it's, when he says things like that, it makes it all the more ominous.
So you can't see the eye that's winking every
No.
time.
There was, God, what was it? It was like sex challenge. No, it was
What? What are you
I was
talking
hosting-
about?
I was co-hosting Queen City Companion last night.
Oh.
And there was a book on the shelf at Mutiny that was like, unlock your sadomagical sex powers.
Whoa.
It was a great used book find. Speaking of Queen City Companion, I co-host with friend of the show and friend of my life, Jen Colick. The first Thursday of every month. The next one is going to be actually August 1st, because July 4th is the first Thursday in July, so fuck that.
And we're all, having fun talking
down.
about America.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The most fun thing to talk
How
about
good it
in
turned out.
2019.
How it turned out,
Yeah.
it was good all along.
Yeah.
I feel like America is basically like the 8th season of Game of Thrones in
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
people's minds.
We all thought it was really good for a while. We're like, this is going great.
Yeah.
And then you learn it was never good.
Yeah.
It makes you realize it was not good at all.
We had
I
some
also-
rough patches in the middle seasons, but hey, they're turning it around, and then, oh wait, no, actually.
Yeah, we're just like
In
hurtling
retrospect.
towards the end as fast as we can.
Yeah. We're like, why were we cool with the like twin fucking and kid disabling in the first episode? We were like, this is fun.
It was a
wasn't
really
fun.
interesting start. The story was great at the beginning, right? And then in the middle, there was a little bit
For
too
some
much
people.
like abusive people and like horrific attitudes towards women. And then for a second, it seemed like, oh, it's turning around. Oh, wait, no, never mind.
No,
Yeah.
it was bad. All.
They're
I,
beheading the only black woman. Never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, I also, my comedy TED Talk show, Know Your Shit, is back. If you're listening to this when it gets released, tonight.
Ooh, you guys didn't see Brian did a really cool reveal with his arm.
It's true. I'm
He's excited about it. Go to
calling down the powers of the heavens.
That's a very fun show. You should go. It's super fun and funny.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's at Tandem Bar in Denver at 8 o'clock tonight. Hopefully, we get to do more. So come check it out, though. It'll be good.
It will be.
I am losing so much steam. Katie, you are going to be on Stepdads, also at Tandem Bar.
Yes, I am.
The week after this is released.
22nd. That's a great show. They have sketches. They're very funny.
Starring
22nd.
John Lithgow and Mel Gibson?
Yeah, we're doing a table read.
Wait, was that a thing?
No, I don't know. Is Stepdads a show?
I think there was wasn't there a movie called Stepdads that was about John Lithgow and Mel Gibson being stepdads?
Well, it wasn't about John Lithgow and Mel Gibson. It wasn't a documentary.
They're stepdads
about their
to each other's
second marriages.
Kids. Yeah.
It's just, it was called Daddy's Home, but it's about the stepdads. Daddy's Home 2.
John Lithgow is in Daddy's Home?
Daddy's Home 2.
Isn't that like Mark Wahlberg?
It is, but Daddy's Home 2 is about the daddies, the stepdaddies.
Oh, I see. Okay, yes.
And I've never had more of
stepdad.
My favorite thing about that movie, which I've never seen. I've never seen Daddy's Home 2.
No.
But your favorite thing about it.
But I have seen the trailer for Daddy's Home 2 before a few movies. And there's this thing in the theater during that trailer that you can no longer experience because time moves forward. Where you see one of the stepdads come down the escalator, and it's John Lithgow. And I heard in the theater people being like, "Oh, John Lithgow!" Like they were actually like, there were people laughing just seeing John Lithgow,
shocking,
and being like, "Oh, I like John Lithgow. He's being funny." And then the next stepdaddy that comes down the stairs is Mel Gibson, and people audibly groaned 5 seconds later.
Those are cool people. Whoever they were. Yeah. No, it's a comedy show called Stepdads. It's fun and funny. 22nd. Come on out. Tandem. I guess we're just really plugging Tandem. Go there just for a drink.
Yeah, all about Tandem. Hey, there's not that many comedy venues left in Denver.
Help us
but Tandem is a really good one.
I'll be at Westfax the Saturday after that, too. That's another good one. The
Westfax,
29th.
another really great show. Now hosted by Jacob Rupp.
Yes.
Friend of the show. You can carry him in your pocket. Zach, sorry, did you have anything you
could carry him in your pocket literally, but not legally, for reference.
Yeah, no.
True.
Yeah, especially out of
he
state.
Is very
and
litigious.
You can't smoke Jacob Rupp in public.
Yeah. He has a no pocket clause on all of his contracts.
Sorry. Anyway, did you want to plug anything, Zach?
I am studying JavaScript a lot right now and don't have time to do anything else. So, no, I don't have anything to plug.
Yeah, I kind of figured, but yeah. Anyway, so judgment falls to me for this episode, and I gotta say, this is my tendency, I think, in a lot of these Civil War, through the experience of people of color episodes, that despite the excellent summary of what is it, Identity, almost said Inception, in Zach's and the fiendish twist in it, I will cast my vote for the actual history. But listeners, you can have your say in that as well. The voting is now open, so do it.
Yeah, vote for me.
I got 2 hours of sleep last night, y'all. So
you can vote for whoever you want. I don't give a fuck. I had to rush this one, baby.
Zach, that is how we keep getting votes for Jill Stein on the podcast.
It's weird that almost every week Jill Stein is actually the history that wins
winner.
out.
Well, she's got
show us all.
Great ideas.
Second, actually, the number one winner is almost always didn't vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
They're in the lead.
It's usually Bart Simpson or School Sucks. I think that's an Arrested Development joke. Anyway, for everyone here at The Revisionist, I've been Brian Flynn.
I've been Zach Powers.
Katie, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is
I'm
fun.
sorry, I didn't know.
I didn't know if I was supposed to say who I've been because
I didn't know if we were going to do that either.
But
if you
thank
want to
you.
reveal like a secret alias that you've given up,
I've been
Haiti
No, it's-
Cannon.
Oh yeah,
I've
that's
been
good.
DB Cooper. The mystery is solved.
I've been Hannah Caton.
Congratulations if you figured it out, Gumshoes.
And I've been Byron Graham.
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Bye.